Hello. How's everyone feeling? Great. Thank you guys so much for coming to a morning session after data night out. I'm impressed. It was kind of touch and go whether I would make it. So glad you guys are here. We are going to be talking about Tableau hacks using Tableau Server to fit your workflow. I did want to set expectations really quick. This is not like a developer-focused coding session. So just in case that's what anyone came for, I won't be offended if you leave right now. This is an intermediate, actually everything is supported that we're going to show you type of session. So just wanted to make sure that was clear from the name. I know we called it Tableau hacks. Cool? Okay. If you feel like you need to leave, we understand. I'm Miranda Osterheld. I'm joined here by Ann Ho today, and I'm going to kick us off by telling you guys about my bucket list. The first piece, actually, I've already completed. I have flown and landed a plane before, so we have that skill set amongst us, should we need it. My parents are both pilots, and they were really convinced that the flying gene had presented itself in me, so they made me take pilot's lessons when I was in high school. But unfortunately, I don't know, I didn't think flying was that cool. So I never got my pilot's license, but I have flown and landed a plane, obviously with an instructor in the front seat. But I feel like I could pull it out if I needed to. The next bucket list item is I plan very seriously on owning a goat one day. I love goats. I know a lot of people are weirded out by goats. They got the square pupils, they're kind of bizarre looking. I think they're adorable, and I especially love it when they scream. Have y'all ever heard a goat scream? Yeah, it's amazing. So I plan on owning at least one goat and several chickens, have kind of like a front yard suburban farm going on, maybe grow a little produce, in case the apocalypse comes, I want to have some produce on hand. And the last piece is I want to become a national park. Wow, no, I want to visit every national park before I die. I've only done 6 so far, so I need to start churning them out, especially the ones that are melting. So I plan on going to Glacier National Park in the next year, and then hopefully hitting up some of the ones in Alaska. But I definitely want to see all of them before I die because they are amazing, and I love hiking and being outdoors. So 5 days inside in fluorescent lighting is killing me. But I'll pass it off to Ann so she can tell you a little bit about herself. Actually, no, I won't. I'm going to tell you guys what I do for my day job first so you guys think I'm credible. For 2.5 years at Tableau, I was a senior product consultant, which means I helped my customers evaluate, deploy, scale, and secure the entirety of the Tableau platform, Tableau Server, Tableau Online, and then obviously doing analytics in desktop and prep. So I've run the gamut of the platform and seen all types of customer problems and solutions. So that's why I'm here today. Although recently I did switch roles and I'm now a PM of the authentication team because I'm a weird person who's really into security. I find it all very interesting. So that's what I do now. Ann, would you like to tell them about yourself?
How's that? Can you guys hear me? Is it on? All right. I did not know that goats have square pupils. I'm going to have to look this up. I had no idea. So a little bit about myself. You might have heard earlier this week, I have a fear of aliens, but I also have a love of laptop bags. I have so many of these. I hung them up on the wall to get them off my shelf, kind of like a work of art or carcasses, trophies, something like that. But I also placed first in the Seattle Marathon. But it wasn't because I actually won. It was because they marked me down as having walked the marathon when I ran the half. But I'll take the win on the internet. It's OK. I got it. At Tableau, I'm a product manager for content management. So I build features into the product that help users find, manage, and organize their content on Tableau Server and Tableau Online. So what are we going to talk to you guys about today? So we're going to share with you some of the challenges that we hear from you and other customers that we work with. We're going to talk through some of the solutions that we've come up with to meet those challenges, and we're going to walk you through how to build some of those solutions. We'll wrap things up, and then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. All right, so those challenges that we hear from you. So as product managers, Miranda and I are talking to you all the time about what you guys are doing, what you're trying to do for your users when you're rolling out Tableau in your organization. And we start to hear a lot of common themes, especially when you're trying to scale it out in large organizations. Some of those themes revolve around how you fit Tableau into your user's workflow. How do you make it personalized for them so they can find the right content? The more people you have using content, the harder it can be to find the things that are important to them. And sometimes there's just like a lot of valuable stuff and not so valuable stuff out there. And we hear these things from your users like, I don't know where to go to find the things that I need. There's too much stuff out there. I don't know where to get started. I can't make any sense out of what's out there. So we'll talk through some of that. What we found is that users need a personalized experience. You heard me talk about home and view recommendations, but when we start to build out features that are in the product, we can't build them fast enough for you. You want them sooner. So we've got some solutions that if we haven't built out those features yet, there are a few hacks that you can do in order to get some of them. In some situations, your IT departments just can't upgrade your servers to the version that actually has the features that you want. So these should help you too. So today we're going to show you some solutions in using 19.1, the version 19.1, but all the functionality that we're going to show you is actually available in older versions of Tableau as well. So what are we going to show you today? All right, so the solutions. We're going to start with personal sandboxes. So when you create a personal sandbox, it gives your users a place for them to create draft content before they're ready to share it with other people. So it makes them feel safe to do some exploration without the fear that other people are going to see it. And when you hide draft content, it actually makes it easier for other people to find relevant content because it's not cluttered with stuff that isn't relevant to them. Draft content, like they don't care, they don't want to see it. So it keeps your server and your sites clean with really ready content or production or gold standard content, as some people call it. The next thing we're going to show you is Tableau Server portals. And this helps your users find the relevant content. So you can create personalized landing pages and tell your users where to find the things that they need. So when users are trying to find their content, they don't care how things are organized, which project where, they just need the stuff that they need, right? So when you create these personalized landing pages, you can put all of that right in front of them, so it makes it a lot easier for them to find. And then finally, we're going to show you how to do burst reports. We would love for people to use Tableau in an interactive way, but we also recognize that old habits are it's hard to kill, like old habits. And I forgot the phrase, I don't even remember how to say it anymore. Data night out, I guess. We hear from users that like, I just want my data in my email. Can I just get it in my email? How many of you guys hear that from your users, right? Yeah, exactly. So we need to meet our users sometimes where they are in their journey. So maybe they're not quite ready to interact with Tableau. So we're going to show you how to create a viz once and be able to send the data to your users in an email that's just relevant for them. All right, you guys excited? Woo, last day of conference. All right, Miranda, let's get started.
All right. Yeah, so like Anne said, I'm going to actually walk you guys through the first two solutions. The first one being personal sandboxes. How many of you guys use desktop today in here? How many? Okay, wow, mostly everyone. How many of you guys, when you're building out your dashboards, the first version is the perfect version, it's production ready and good to go? Really? Oh my God, good for you. You must be a formatting wizard. Yeah. Like most people, right, and this is legitimately what we encourage in Tableau, the process is supposed to be iterative. You build a dashboard, you get feedback, you go back, you change the dashboard, make it better, get more feedback. Can't satisfy every opinion, but at the end of the day, right, eventually you land on a version that is production ready. The thing about it is that when you are iterating and building out content, part of that journey should really be staging the content in server, right? We all know vizzes tend to render differently in the browser sometimes than they do locally. And sometimes you want a place to store that in-progress work that isn't on your local computer as part of that process. And I'm sure, how many of you guys are like server or site admins as well? Oh, great, well, perfect. This capability will be directly applicable to some of you from a enablement standpoint. All the other people, you can bring it back to your server admin in terms of how they organize content. But what we hear from you guys is that we want to build this culture of analytics. We want people to have self-service dashboarding and visual analytics. But there is this barrier to entry where everyone is building locally. There's versions that are local, and then they can't stage the content because they don't want other people to see it, and it's really hard to build an individual folder permission for every single user, right? If we wanted everyone to have their own single safe space where only they could see their content on the server, you'd essentially have to create a project. Everyone familiar with project on server? Right? A folder for every single individualized user, or maybe you could scope it to a team, but the point is like, if someone wants a safe space, you'd theoretically have to do it that way. But I'm here to tell you that that's not true. You actually can create a one project personal sandbox that to everyone publishing to that project, it will appear to be their own sandbox. They will not be able to see anyone else's content. All they will see in the server or in that project is their own draft content. Of course, a server admin would be able to see all of the content in there, right? Global admin, you can see everything. But every individual creator who is permissioned to publish to this personal sandbox will only see their content, even though everyone will be publishing there. So it's the one-size-fit-all personal sandbox. And I do want to be clear, you totally can still go make team sandboxes and individual sandboxes at the project level for every user. You can even do that programmatically with the REST API. But this is a very, very simple solution. I'm going to show you guys. It takes 5 minutes max to set up, and now you have a safe space for everyone. So let's do it. Let's do it live. All right, and to prove to you guys, let's go Wi-Fi. To prove to you guys that this works, I'm going to do the cooking show method of showing you the finished product. So you can see I have my personal sandbox here. Right now, I'm logged in as the admin, and I can see, right, the 3 workbooks that exist within this personal sandbox. If I hop over to incognito mode, and I am logged in as Monica, she can only see 2 of the 3 in that exact same folder because she is the content owner of those 2 workbooks, right? Content owners are little mini global admins of their content. They will always be able to see their content, and so because Monica owns this content, she's always going to be able to see it, even though the permissions are set up so that no one can see anything in this project. And I'll show you how. We'll do it from scratch. So I'll go back in as the admin because we need to create a top-level project, right? We'll go in here and create a project. We'll call it Everyone's Personal Sandbox. And we'll say, feel free to publish draft and in progress. I'm making this up as I go. In progress works here, people. Only you will be able to see it. We'll go ahead and create this project. And then we'll go in and set up the permissions. And because I follow permissioning best practices, right, my default project had no permissions for the all users group across, so this one obviously inherited from that template. So by default, we have the all users groups has no permissions, right, to anything on this project. What I'm going to do is come in here and edit the permissions for the all users group. And I'm going to say everyone can publish to this project, right? Obviously, barring your site role, everyone is in quotes, but anyone who has the ability from a site role perspective to publish can publish to this project now. And that means they can see the project and they can save to it. And save is inclusive of workbooks and data sources, right? There's no differentiation for this kind of save capability. They will be able to save anything they want to this project. But we're going to keep the workbook and data sources permissions the same, because this is essentially what are the permissions to everyone else's workbooks, right? What can I do with anyone else's workbook here in this folder? And I'm going to leave them as none. So right now, for anyone else's workbook in this project, I won't be able to even, right, see those workbooks, let alone download, interact, whatever, or see those data sources. All of these will be set to none. Make sense so far? And what's missing, y'all? What do I have to do, the last step? Lock. Lock to the project level. Why do we have to lock? Because if I don't lock, the permissions are effectively just suggestion to the publishers, right? They're a template that they can change from. Lock to the project level if you want to enforce that permissioning. We will go ahead and save here, and then you're right, we do need to save. And that's it. We're done. That took maybe 5 minutes, right? And now this is somewhere that everyone can publish and iterate and have draft content staged in, and then when they're ready, right, they can move it somewhere else, or someone else can move it for them. But the point is, why does this work? Content owners are always going to be able to see content they own. people who publish to this project can still use published data sources, right, that exist in other projects that they're, permissioned to use. So if you want them to be building off those curated published data sources, great, and those exist in a different project, awesome. They can still do that and then publish the workbooks here. That's how permissioning works. And they can also, if you're having them kind of iterate through, maybe they're data stewards and they want a place to stage data sources as well, they can obviously save data sources here. And then when content is ready to go, they can move it, right, to any other project they have permission to save to. So in some scenarios, that's now a team sandbox, and then it goes through levels of approval before it goes to the production folder, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, they can move it to that new project, and if that new project is locked, it will take on the permissions of that project. The caveat here is if that new project is unlocked, right, the permissions will be maintained from where it came from. So in this case, no one will have any permissions to see it. So make sure if you're moving into an unlocked project, you then go through and do the process of actually changing the permissions for that workbook, or else no one will be able to see it. And that was it. Easy as pie for personal sandboxes. Now the next issue is more of a findability and discoverability issue, because that kind of allows us to have all of our draft content in one place that even server or site admins, or if you want to permission project leaders, can go through and clean up when stuff gets stale or too cluttered, right? Which is great from a decluttering standpoint because it makes it easier to find the content that actually is valid and production ready. But sometimes, Anne has done great work in terms of making home and view recommendations, and hey, maybe you should be looking at this, other people are looking at this. That helps with findability and discoverability. But if you have a lot of content on your server, at the end of the day, sometimes you have users, especially like executives, provosts, the top dogs, they just want one place where all of their relevant content is. Sometimes you want that hard-coded in, right? Like this is your dashboard landing page. And that's where Tableau Server portals come in. And don't feel like you have to, when I go through the demo, write down these steps. There's actually documentation and online help on how to do this. But I'm going to walk you through a couple examples of what I mean by like a portal very quickly. And so these are kind of some peripheral examples. How many people have seen the Tableau Viz cookbook before? OK. This is available on public now, so if you want to look it up afterwards, you're certainly welcome to. But the Tableau Viz cookbook is a dashboard of other dashboards. And what I mean by that is all of these arc chart, area graph, area chart, bar chart, whatever, all of those are clickable links that then bring you to a dashboard teaching you how to build that viz, right? And so this is like dashboard inception because I can now be linked out to all the dashboards that are relevant to me from one single dashboard that I can set as my home page. And there are other examples of this. Right? There's the Tableau chart catalog, a cousin of the Viz cookbook, but it does the same thing, right? All of these are clickable. You link out to additional dashboards that show you examples of them and then also how to make them, also available on public. This is something, and I know it's probably a little small text-wise, but it's something that is actually available for you guys as customers through your customer success managers if you have them. But this is something that our customer success managers created internally, and it's actually story points and then dashboards within those story points that take new Tableau users through like a ramping process, right, as they're going through their skill belts to try and learn how to do Tableau. But each of these dashboards are just links out to other relevant dashboards, Tableau resources, videos, and so it's a landing page that you can kind of walk people through, and when they're getting ready or going through their initial Tableau journey, right, then they can essentially come to this place to understand how they move along in learning Tableau. But it's literally a dashboard of other dashboards, and it's actually story points of dashboards of other dashboards. And then lastly, this is probably for people who are in the server admin space and understand how to connect to the Postgres repository. The example I'm going to show you actually hard codes the resources, right? Like these are the dashboards I want, or the resources I want available in this dashboard as a landing page. We're going to essentially create a data set of URLs. But you actually can programmatically or automate this by connecting to your Postgres repository. Are you guys familiar with the Postgres? OK, some of you might not be. That's totally fine. Tableau Server has a Postgres, and so if you don't have access, maybe don't worry about this. But you actually can have this like landing page, this portal, right, update automatically with new resources by connecting to your Postgres and having that be the data set. So that actually is available in the community right now. If you just do Tableau Server report portal, it'll come up with a community post. So if you're interested in automating this process, really great place to go. Cool? All right, so the first step, right, for building a dashboard, because that is what we will be doing, is getting a data set. And the data set is very, very simple here, right? It's just the URL of the resources we want to link out to, because we will be using URL actions. It's essentially what that resource is. So in this case, the column is called function, but it's whatever that needs to be. And then maybe you have like logical groupings. You could do that groupings in Tableau Desktop, right? But I just gave it different business sections. But that's pretty much all we need to make this work. And so let's see the finished product. And then I'll show you how we built it. So really quick, this is it in the server. And you can see, oopsies, there we go, reload. We have two different kind of styles of menu here, and I'll show you what they look like in desktop so we can play around. But one is just a very simple text table with a shape, right, that looks like a little arrow button to link out to that resource. And then this format at the bottom are actually individual sheets with custom images, and all of those sheets are named as that particular resource. But to prove to you guys this works, right, if I click on this sheet, it takes me to that target URL, and that's the Tableau Viz cookbook. And so we use this actually internally. I took a sales cockpit dashboard, and then I just modified it. Our theme was like costume design, but we really didn't use it other than this dashboard I built and some of the project images. But the point is that I took an existing sales cockpit dashboard that we use at Tableau that teams set as their homepage, and then just switched out the resources to ones that are like publicly available and not our internal server URLs. But it's great because now, especially when people are ramping, right, new sales folks join the sales team, they set this as their homepage. They have all of their our Tableau Server, all of their Tableau Server dashboards in one place, and that's where they go to help run their business. So it really helps from a findability, a discoverability, a ramping standpoint to have this one kind of landing page that links to the dashboards that they need. So what does it look like in desktop? Let's pop it open. So let's go to the simple menu first, and you guys can just see what exists on the sheet. And of course, to try and be fun with formatting, I made the text white, which was just like stupid for demoing purposes. So let's go ahead and format the font here. And I'm really bad at formatting, so. Anyways, what you can see, right, is just the function, aka the name of the resource is on rows, and then I put URL on detail. And instead of having all those lovely ABCs, I just had it changed to the shape mark type, and I chose an arrow. Right? And so essentially, this is filtered to a particular section. If I want all of the resources, I didn't have to filter it. But it's a very simple sheet, right? That's all we need to essentially make it work. Whereas any of these examples are actually individual sheets with custom images as the only thing on that sheet. And so I essentially took a screenshot, and you'll see they're very low-res images if we go to any one of them, because they're blown up on the sheet. Look at that, ugly. Anyways, they're screenshots that I took and then saved as custom images. I'm sure some of you guys have done that before to associate with that particular URL. But when it's like normal size as a little, clickable sheet on a dashboard, it looks fine, and it gives people a preview of what they're going to click into. Obviously, this doesn't update, right? It's just kind of like the front page. But it's a little bit more customized and I think prettier and more informative to the end user in terms of what they're getting into. Obviously, in all of these scenarios, we would want to customize our tooltips. People forget about tooltips. Don't forget about tooltips. Tooltips are so useful, and then when they're not formatted, they look really bad. But the idea is like you could give descriptions of what these resources actually are in the tooltip so people are hovering and know what they're getting into. And I'm sorry, I'll click the back button so we don't have black text. My favorite button in Tableau. And then the last piece, right, once we have all of the URLs on each of these sheets, you guys probably guessed it, dashboard, actions. I already have one built out, but from scratch, I would add an action, go to URL against all of these sheets, have it run on selection probably, never hover. Does anyone ever use hover for like an action, go to URL? No, it'd be ridiculous, right? Can you imagine like browser windows popping up? Anyways, I just think it's funny. Select and then or menu, and then you put in the URL, right, dimension, and then test the link. And I'm missing fields on that how-to button sheet, so I'll take that off. But I could test a link. I didn't switch out all the links, so I'm nervous it'll bring us to a Tableau Server dashboard, so I'm not going to do that. But you can see this is how you would create the hyperlink, and that's all there is to it. I, of course, added a little button sheet, and there's actually a how-to video on how to use the sales cockpit, right, that you can build in as an informational way to get people ramped on this dashboard. The last step after it's published is to have your users go in, right, and set it as their start page. Now, individual users can set their start page unless it's managed on the server level, what a start page is, and then server admins can set start pages for all users or all the users on a site. So if your site holds multiple teams and you don't want everyone to have that same sales cockpit as their dashboard, right, you'd have to have individual users go in and set it as their start page. But otherwise, if you've kind of partitioned your server so different groups are on each site, you can set it for all of the users on that site as their start page. And then every time they log into server, they'll be brought to this portal and have a way more streamlined experience in terms of like using Tableau to run their business, right, to get the dashboards they need. Because people aren't going to spend a lot of time trying to hunt down content at the end of the day. Using Tableau or searching for dashboards all day probably isn't most of your guys' job. So we want to make it as easy as possible for people to get the content they need and then move on and make data-driven business decisions. Cool? Make sense? Easy peasy. How many of you guys have built Tableau portal dashboards before? Okay, so a couple of you, this isn't new. But for those of you that haven't, I would recommend it, especially for maybe the less Tableau technical savvy folks in your organization. It's a really easy way to kind of build an application within Tableau that goes to all the resources they need. And they don't have to be just Tableau dashboards. They can be videos or help links or whatever it may be. So with that, I will pass it back to Anne, and she will talk about doing or solving a different but related kind of customized user experience issue.
Yeah, thanks, Miranda.
No worries.
So you've already said that you've heard from your users that they want their email or their data in their emails. And this is often because they're on the go and they aren't always at their desks. They just want to be able to get them on their phones. And the thing that we hear a lot is, I want to get bursted reports. I know, how many of you guys hear that? I want bursted reports. Yeah, okay. So this is not an uncommon request. So we're going to show you how to do that. And here I've got 2 different emails sent to 2 different people. And this is a common scenario that we hear. You've got a sales dashboard that you need to send out to your regional sales managers, but each of them should only get the results for their region. But you don't want to create a separate dashboard for each one of them. So you can create that viz once and have it sent out to them. Now, this one does show a PDF, and you heard earlier, yesterday actually, that in our new version of Tableau, you'll be able to send PDFs or images, but if you've got older versions, you can still get an image. So if you format your dashboard to be like nice and tight, then they'll be able to still get that data right in their email. All right, so let me show you how to make it. We're gonna start with a viz that probably you already have. And there's got to be a dimension in there that you're going to use to personalize those emails. I'm going to show you how to create personal associations. There are different ways of doing this. We're going to show you how to do it using user filters, but you can also do some more complicated things with entitlements and custom views. But we're going to keep it pretty simple. We'll show you how to do it with user filters. And then we're going to create a subscription and add your users to it so they get those emails. All right. Let's go over to our dashboard. So here's this regional dashboard, this one, that I've created. I've customized it so that the name of the regional manager will show up. And the first thing that I'm going to do, or not the first thing, but let's assume that we've created it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to one of my worksheets. I'm going to make sure that I'm logged into my server, because this is how I'm going to get my user information. So I'm logged in. Then I'm going to go down here and create a user filter. I'm going to pick region as the dimension that I'm going to use to filter. And I'm going to call this regional managers. And then down here, I've got the list of all of my users. Can you guys see that? Do I need to zoom in? Can I zoom in? No. Okay, so I'm going to pick my users and then assign them to the region that they manage. So Fred, he manages the Northwest. Henry's got the Southeast. And think it's Jana's got Southwest. And then Ashley's the director, so I'm just gonna give her access to all of these so she can see all of the results in total. And then okay. So down here in the bottom left of the pane, I've got my new set, the regional managers that I've created. So I'm gonna drag this up to my filters up here. Then I'm gonna take that, and because I've got multiple sheets in this workbook, I'm going to apply this filter to all of the worksheets using this data source, okay? So because I'm still logged in as Ashley, you're not gonna see any difference here. But it is actually working. And I'll go ahead and publish it. We'll give it a new name here. And Wi-Fi, don't fail me now. Okay, there we go. And then here's my dashboard, again, as Ashley. Now, in order to create, so we've created the personalization. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna subscribe the users. So we'll use this subscriptions button in the Viz toolbar, and I'm gonna add my users. Let's say it was Henry, and there was Jana, and Alan, and Ashley, and some other people I can't remember, but we're just gonna do that. And then I can go ahead and subscribe. Now, like I said, you did see that in the newer versions, you'll be able to decide if you want to see just an image or an image and a PDF. This is an older version. This is 19.1, so it doesn't show it here. But if I were going to click subscribe, then it would send out those emails on whatever schedule that I've set. So maybe you want it weekly or daily or monthly, whatever that is. All right, so that's really it, and I'll just show it to you again, these emails. So Michelle gets this email and Alan gets this one, and it was the same dashboard that I created once. Okay. Yeah? Yeah, you can do that. So that was what I was saying earlier around using entitlement tables. It's a little bit more complex. What we showed you here is just using user filters. But we can have more questions at the end. So just to recap what we showed you, personal sandboxes, a safe place for your users to create draft content and keep the rest of your site clean. A server portal, which is a personalized landing page to help your users find the content that they need that's relevant to them in the context. And then burst reports, so that you can create a Viz once and send out subscription emails to your users on a regular basis. We've got some references here. You can't download, so you can take a picture of it. I made tiny URLs. So there is a blog that Miranda wrote on how to create the personal sandboxes. So if you didn't quite follow along, the instructions are in that blog. We've also got some instructions in here as well on how to connect to that Tableau repository and create those portals. And then also some references on how to create subscriptions and use user filters for row-level security. Everybody got your pictures? Okay, great. All right, so that wraps up our session. We're gonna have a Q&A at the end. So if you have to go, please don't forget to rate us in the mobile app for our session. Let us know how we did, how we can continue to improve. You guys know we love our data, and we definitely use that information as we plan for our Tableau Conference 2020 in, well, Vegas again. So if you, again, can't stay for the Q&A, we hope that we'll see you next year. I'm going to have like 5 more laptop bags, and Miranda's going to bring her goats.
Yep. All right, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.